Mike Burgess.
Space.
It is time to boldly go where no one has gone before. This is the right franchise, right?
To boldly go back to a video game that came out a decade ago.
Yes. Howdy there. I'm Quin Hoffman, and that is Mike Burgess, and this is a Viewpoints for the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
That's right.
We're going to be revisiting a game from, I think, 2007.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'll double check real quick. But that's I forget because it was like the whole trilogy. Mm-hmm. And admittedly, it's like one that I played when they came out, but I've not like. I would admittedly say like I feel like a lot of people in the industry have very fond feelings for this franchise. I just kind of liked it. Like that was like it was. I enjoyed my time with it, but like after that trilogy ended, I had no real desire to be like, oh my god, I need more and I want more and all this. Like I just kind of had the trilogy. So yes, the very first Mass Effect came out November 20th, 2007.
So, Mike, let's travel back in time to 2007 when I was 14.
Yeah, that was.
My birthday was in November, so I would be 14 in the year 2007. Mm-hmm. This was the first like big RPG I played.
Right.
So I'm very fond of this game. It means that like the first Mass Effect in particular is like a very important game for me because it's like, oh, this is what a role-playing game is. I've always heard my dad talk about them, and I've seen him play it, but I've never actually played one. Mm-hmm. So when this was announced, I was like, cool, I just want to replay Mass Effect 1 on modern systems. 2 and 3 are good. I like the first is very much my Final Fantasy 7 in many ways.
Sure.
And here we are. We're on the Normandy.
Back on the old Normandy.
Before we do anything, it basically all the menus are the same.
Yeah. So okay. That's kind of the consensus I've heard. I guess since you've already played a little bit, I was kind of going to ask like they obviously did like a lot to the visuals of these games.
Yes.
But in terms of like general like quality of life stuff, there doesn't seem to be too many of that stuff added since that original release. Is that kind of correct? Like it's kind of more just one for one that game with a lot more visual enhancements is kind of more what this collection is about.
Yeah, I think I know 2 and 3 didn't get any like visual enhancements. But for 1, they've kind of like we'll go to the squad menu. This is literally the squad menu from the first game.
Yeah.
So there's nothing big here. Which and like the equipment menu again, the exact same menu. I played Mass Effect 1 earlier this year. I'm very familiar with these menus. I play them like once a year.
Right.
But it's by and large the same game. It just looks better, and you can immediately like this is my my character Quin Shepard, and the character models look much better. I'll see if we can talk to Navigator Presley real quick and get a conversation going.
Yeah,
I mean, you can immediately
they definitely do look nicer, but I think like always the thing with Mass Effect, just for me personally, was like there was a lot of dead staring.
Yes.
Just some dead eyes on a lot of these characters. It's namely like the humans, but I think it also is like like we said at the top. This is more than a decade old video game, and you can see that.
Yes,
the music. I will say the music in this particular menu and in the space menu is always.
Yeah,
that's like an iconic theme in my mind when I think of Mass Effect. That's like. One of the first things that comes in is the din 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 din. Like as soon as you go into the like space menu, we're in here. Fantastic stuff.
And we'll just do a story mission.
Sure, yeah. Let's go.
It's
where we
at? I just finished the first like thing at the Citadel. So it's basically oh shit, I forgot which one you need to go to.
So you are not fully a Spectre yet, right? But you're like you're doing like a mission to like Become a Spectre.
You are a Spectre.
Okay, you are at this point. Okay, it's.
Yeah.
I remember. I know that's like some early stuff in the game. Is like you have to.
Yeah.
Like,
so spoilers for a 10-year-old game.
Yeah, you have to. You have to become a space cop.
Yes. And like that's kind of something that has always been interesting. Yeah, we got to figure out where Liara is.
Okay,
Is very much is like Shepard is a like authority figure, and they are a space cop. They basically like, not this one. Yeah. So what we're doing now is looking for Liara Tisoni. We just have to go to this whatchamacallit, this system and try to. Boom. Here we go.
Looks like an automated distress beacon.
And is this one of them? This might be it. I don't know.
We'll find out. It's good to see.
Will.
It's good to see. Like also like just seeing like, it's probably pretty safe to say that like load times are probably dramatically better than that original release.
Yeah.
And it even feels like it, like right there, like seeing the whatchamacallit, the big like transport, like teleporter, like
the Mass Effect relays.
The relay. That's right. That's what they're called. The relay be up for like literally half a second. Be like, up, I'm here.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about this. And also, look, my baby's here. My baby's here.
Great. This is the actual reason you want to do this, so you can just sit here and talk about the fucking Mako.
The Mako. Yeah. No, I again like as a big fan of this game, so much of my fondness is I enjoy the jank. So
yeah,
like I enjoy it.
So is this like, I know they have like different, they left in like a weird mode where you can play the Mako kind of as it was, and then there's like a mode where it's like kind of the updated, like they tried to make it feel a little better. Did you?
I don't know how to change that.
Okay,
so
I was gonna ask if you went right to it, or you just stayed in the regular mode. So I guess here you go. Here's your time.
Here's my time to shine.
How does the Mako feel in this updated version as you are controlling it right now?
It feels about the same.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, if you don't like the Mako, guess what? There's no real improvements.
Yeah.
Also, we're fighting a Thresher.
Yeah. I think the thing for me, from what I remember, again, granted, like I played this game like pretty much right around these games, like pretty much right around when they came out, and have not really returned to them. The thing I remembered was like the problem I had with the Mako was not necessarily like driving around was fine, but just like it had like no weight to it.
Yeah, it's and very weight.
And I remember that. I remember having that of like you're literally in this 6-wheel tank-looking vehicle, but then if you go off like a tiny little hill, you can go like 30 feet in the air, and you're just like, wait, what? And you'll like hit the ground and like bounce like a basketball sometimes. And it's just like it definitely was a little weird, but obviously yes.
It still has some weight to it.
Say we'll say it again and probably more as a broken record, but this is a 2007 video game.
Yeah, very much like Nier Replicant, which came out this year. I fucked up. I'm sure there are old game conventions in Nier because it's very much a early 2000s JRPG on the PS3. Like Mass Effect 1 has its issues with combat. If some people don't like it, I think it's fine. I personally think it's my favorite combat because it's less of a shooter and more of a whatchamacallit. You get more flexibility. And here we go. And that's the Mako. But no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is still here, by the way.
Yeah, the weird hacking minigame. Okay.
Yeah. I thought
if I recovered, nice.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it seems like they just kind of kept everything. But like I can see like I guess I can see why they didn't I feel like it's always a challenge with like remaking games is like how much do you change to like
Yeah.
fit in a modern context of like, you know, do we appeal to this crowd that has like a huge admiration for that original thing and still thinks that game is like a perfect game, or do we try and bring it to a modern crowd with modern sensibilities in mind? And like I'm sure that's always a challenge with like bringing any game together, but even like a little bit for me, again, like somebody who maybe has a little bit less reverence for this franchise, like I look at some stuff and I'm like just watching here and I'm like, yeah, it'd been nice maybe if they added like some marker, like maybe better defined markers for things, or you know, you're on a quest and like, you know, even you somebody who has played this game a bunch is like not fully sure which planet you're going to, so like even just having a marker to be like, hey, your quest is at this planet, it's like, okay, great. Just,
and I think even to that note, the map is still fucking shitty as fuck in this game.
Yeah,
so
that's
and like I saw that and I was like, oh cool, we're doing like we just left that terrible map in.
Yeah, right.
All right, fine. Like, I'm happy that the game looks as pretty as it does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the one. I'm trying to find it. Plaren. Because we'd get like a... Oh, wait. That was matriarch.
Yeah. And just I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but just to make sure, and just for the viewer's sake, this is a PS4 version of the game that you're...
Playing on a PS5, yes.
Playing on a PS5. Like, there's not a PS5... or Xbox Series X or S version of this. It is just a PS4 and a PS4 and Xbox One game is what I believe, and it's on PC as well.
I think on the Series S and X, it's native. It's not like a Xbox One port.
Okay,
which is why they run it higher.
Interesting.
PlayStation 5 also has just weird things with it. Okay, where's we going? Stronghold. I think that's where we're going. Let's go that way, just so we can try to get some combat. That's not the Mako. But no, I like. I very much like this game more than the others because of, it's the first, like, I revere it so much in my heart, despite its issues. But it's also, it doesn't feel like an actual shooter as much as the later games. It very much feels like, hey, it's a shooter, but it's more like RPG focused. You have to spec out your skills and you kind of like work on a build more than, oh, you shoot the thing, you have an ammo counter. You have to like conserve ammo, be smart of how you do in combat. This is very much like
this is run, you know, have some janky fights in this weird car, but also like do some like I definitely see what you're saying, but it's just I again, it's been so long since I played them, and I do probably plan to play this collection at some point, just to play it again, because it's been long enough for me. It'll feel like somewhat of a fresh experience to an extent. But I remember just like loosely in my brain that I think I ended up liking that second one a lot more, and I feel like that's just like the general sensibilities for these of like, I remember liking this first one still and enjoying it, but then remember going into the second one and being like, okay, this is like the real shit. in some respects, just because like I definitely agree with what you're saying of like, it feels a little bit more like a shooter, or it's more combat focused than this one is, or it's more, or I guess we should say it's more focused on the ground combat rather than like you're in the Mako doing stuff, and like but I would say some of that other stuff was still like there, of like making like RPG and making character choices and you know, building a party of characters and stuff. I think was like that was there as well in those games, but yeah, it was not. That one was definitely more like, had a lot more action, more like cinematic sequences moments. Like literally, like I remember the playing the demo for the second one a bunch before the game came out. And it's like that opening sequence when you're Shepard running out of the place that's being attacked by the Reapers, at the opening of the second game, and it's like it's definitely much different than a lot of stuff in this first game.
Yeah, it's tonally different too, which is kind of they're such different games in so many cool ways. And that's something I really love about them is that the first one, it may be like has its moments of jank, but it's still, I think, a very sharp game. And for me, some like stupid complainy thing is that in the first game, you don't have ammo. It's like, oh, your gun overheats. Then you go to the second, and then there's like kind of no explaining why that you did it until like the third game.
Right, of like why they just why they probably just made a gameplay difference that would make more sense to a broader audience of people who play video games, but this didn't necessarily make it contextual in the world itself. Yeah. That is. Yeah, I remember that being. I remember even when that game came out, that being like weird to people. But but as somebody who is like not as, I think I played this first one and the second one around the same time as each other, and I remember just moving into the second one and being like, oh wow, this feels better. I think I think it was just kind of, I did not have the time frame to like play this game and kind of enjoyed it as its own self-contained thing. I think it was more of like I played this one, and then by the time I'd done this one, the second one was pretty much already out, and then I just jumped right into the second one, and that was more of a thing. But again, that was like so long ago. It's like hard to really.
Mm-hmm. And I think whatchamacallit, the first one is definitely the more like different out of all of them, because it's more of a like more classic kind of like BioWare.
I can't believe they put everyone's favorite in here and didn't include Mass Effect Andromeda. You know what I mean? Like,
Garrus?
No, I mean, why didn't they include Mass Effect Andromeda, everybody's favorite Mass Effect video game, in this collection?
Yeah, I heard character and I was like, are you talking about Garrus? But no. There's minor thing why I don't like 2 as much as the first one is you can't have Not Rex in your party, and for me that's right. That's like, it's kind of like a dumb thing to like complain about. But I think we have to go.
No, I mean, I remember liking Rex too.
Because
first game.
Even in this, the elevators are here. You can like, if you remember the long elevator sequences, they're still here. They're shorter now.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So basically, in like the first one, it would take a while for like the dialogue to happen. With this, it's like, oh, you get into the elevator, dialogue happens instantly.
Right.
And then
it just pops you out.
Yeah, then you can either just like pop out or skip the dialogue as like, and then it just whatchamacallit, and then you're done, and it just like fast forwards you out of it. I think we have to go to theorem. So if you don't like the elevators, you can skip them, but like they're so much shorter now that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's that is funny. That's probably like, I mean, it probably took a lot of work to do like a lot of the visual upgrades and whatnot to this game, but that's just funny because that sounds like a lot of the major work was like making sure like they had to reformat how the loading into zones and stuff worked in this game. That's funny.
Yes, I think this is the area. Cool. But no, even like you, it looks as sharp as 2 and 3. I played 2 and 3 earlier this year. 3 for the first time. And I think they're good. I have problems with the gameplay and the mechanics, but and just how those later games kind of just throw the same combat encounters at you multiple times. But that could also be said of this game too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like a lot of again like, you know, this is me talking from somebody who played this game a long ass time ago, but I feel like a lot of the combat felt generally the same to me
Yeah, that's fair.
across a lot of the games. But I also was like not the type of I was kind of the person who like picked a class and played through it once and like to not try a lot of the different classes. And I know like some of them play differently.
Yeah.
Can play much differently than some of the other ones. So
Yeah, because I think on that note, I'm playing as an engineer, which is this is my first time doing it. So it's like the hacking class, more or less.
right.
But I typically do like infiltrator or vanguard. I've never do biotic stuff because I always like having a biotic in my crew and just like having them be my. Hey, that's when like I use the like the when you hold down R1 and it's the like the menu pops up and it's like, oh yeah, have your squad mates do their abilities.
Right.
That's why I like to do it more for them. It's like, okay, that's how I manage my thing, and I make it more strategic. So.
Yeah, I don't fully remember like what I even honestly played through with. I want to say it was probably Vanguard because is that the one where it was like slightly it's a kind of little bit of both, where it's like you're kind of gunning, but also you get some of those biotic abilities. And
I think so. I think we have to get out here. If I remember correctly, or do we just shoot the fucking thing? Well, I think we might want to shoot this thing. No, we don't shoot the thing. Oh, wait, hold up. There it goes. Yeah, it's like some of the problems with this game is that it kind of
it's an old game.
It is an old game.
Like, here it is. Here's just stuff in the area. Figure it out.
Yeah, because like we'll go here and it's like, oh yeah, we have to go back and around. I think we have to go through here. Also, you can finally have like they fixed the sprint. Oh yeah, we gotta take the Mako that way. So in the original, I don't know if you remember this, Mike, but I do. There were some times when you'd have your gun out and you wouldn't run at like the fast speed. They just fixed that this game. They're like, you know what, you have your gun out and you can just run at the fast speed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's rad because
yeah, you can just fucking run. Do it.
Yeah. There you go this way. Boop boop. But no, I'm having a good time with this because, like I said before, I'm very fond of the first one.
Yeah.
And so revisiting it's always kind of fun for me.
Yeah, and I think it's like I'll give like, you know, EA definitely has its many issues, especially in recent years. But I will give them kudos for like they put the entire trilogy, these games like into a single package instead of like kind of maybe selling them separately, which I feel like they could have totally done and people still would have probably bought it. But to be like, here's all three of these games, and they're not short games by any means for $60. Like that's a hearts and minds sort of play. Which which like in fairness, like they do kind of need, but like I still give them credit for doing it.
Yeah, and like to that note, I would have paid like if they did like, oh yeah, $30 for each game or whatever, I would have just paid $30 for like the original.
Sure.
Because like that's my favorite. I don't like I play this game I replay this game maybe like once a year. So despite all of its many flaws. Gotta leave the Mako. But like look at the Mako looks very good. No, the textures in this pack do look very good for the first game. Yeah. Which is nice because oh man, that first one looked rough.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough looking game. I'm curious, like again, this game came out on the original one came out. I don't think it launched on when the game originally came out. It came on PC, but then eventually came to PC. And I know there's like mods for that version, so I'd be curious to see like how some of the mods that kind of updated some visuals in this game compare to this. But I definitely know there was a lot of comparisons to going around. And it's always the discourse around kind of updating games is like some people really like the updated look. Some people go like, nah, man, it's not original, even though like, you know, they'll put images side to side of this game and like they'll show a character like, you know, in the middle of like an important cutscene and they're almost standing in like a pitch black dark room, You can barely see their faces, and then the other one's just like, oh, now it just looks like they're in a well lit room and they're staring face, and they're just like, nah, man, it takes the emotion out of the scene. Like I saw some tweets about some scene like that when they first kind of showed this off, and I just thought it was like the dumbest shit. I was just like, come on, y'all, like,
yeah,
like I get it, but also like, you know.
But like that same kind of discourse happened with Demon Souls.
Yeah, Demon Souls and it's like a bunch of games like that. Yeah, it's
like the prime example for this is Eden Prime. Like when you boot it up, like that's the first mission you do, Eden Prime, and the vibe is totally different because of how the lighting and the colors are. But it's still the mission itself still gets the same point across.
Right.
It's just a different vibe. It's more like, hey, you just landed here and you're more curious about what's going on versus, hey, what the actual fuck is going on with all these dreary ass colors? Why is there some red lightning in the sky? It was very much like a, hey, it's whatchamacallit. It's like something's going on wrong here in paradise because that's technically Eden Prime is considered like Earth's first successful colony. It's considered a paradise.
And I think
so it just
and I think it's
the
always,
vibes are different, but it still gets the point across.
Yes, and I think it is that challenging thing, like how you're describing it, of like there's a bit of you reminiscing about this moment because it's like the first time you're seeing this moment, right? And it's you know your fondly remembered memories you might remember it that way, but it might not necessarily be that way, and it might just be some cruddy looking thing to like people who do not have that attachment, right?
Yeah.
So like
and
so like it's I you know, at the end of the day, it's the people who are making this update are the people who also like had some part, then they own it and they can. I mean, I would not say like the people making this remake are necessarily some of the original team that worked on it, because like I think like BioWare has dramatically changed.
Yeah.
From like who's working there compared to when they were working on this game like over a decade ago. So.
But no, it's still the team's vision. It's still like, it may not be the original team's vision, but it is a team coming in later after reviewing the tapes and being like, hey, this is what we can do. This is kind of our new vision. Versus like for Demon Souls, it's like, oh, it's FromSoft, but it's Blue Point basically doing a one-for-one remake.
Right.
That's a completely different like whole spiel. Versus like Final Fantasy VII, for example, where it's like Nomura, it's still Nomura's baby. He's the director on it. It's his vision, alongside a lot of others, but it's still his, like, what he wants to do. Okay, let's go see if there's anything over here.
Yeah.
No, and like that's for like personally, that's my take on the discourse. But I'm happy that there's a prettier Mass Effect 1. If they change something,
I think this
and the lighting is different. Cool, whatever. As long as I'm still able to have a fun, jolly space adventure with my bros.
Yeah. I think this overall does look nicer than that original game.
So, but no, it looks like miles better than the original, which is very nice. There's gonna be some bros in here. But no, like I'd prefer, if I'm doing like forced combat scenarios, I'd much rather do them in the Mako, where like the environment's bigger, so there's a better sense of scale, versus redoing the same thing over and over again. So
it's hard to say since it's been so long since I played it, but there's also like. I'm not sure, because I feel like from my memory, I feel like there was a lot of stuff. It didn't feel that samey to me at the time. Playing those other ones, but yeah, I think all of the games were still pretty similar to me in my mind. Of like, I still would find myself in rooms with a bunch of cover and shoot some guys. But again,
and at the end of the day, that's
specific stuff. It's hard to remember very specific moment to moment things for me in this after all this time.
Yeah, and I think like for you, Mike, when this game does go on sale, I would definitely say, hey, pick it up,
Yeah.
because it's very, it's like I love, it's still it's a fun time. Like 2 and 3 have their moments where they feel like they're a bit of a slog, but I say that as someone who's replayed those this year and went so far to get the quote unquote good ending in 3. So I did all that whatchamacallit, extra shit you have to do. Stop. And so one big thing in this game, though, I will say with the combat is, like, see how I'm holding a sniper rifle? In the original, like, your class determines the weapons you could use. I think that's even... The same could be said for, whatchamacallit, 2 and 3.
Right.
No, wait. No, you can still use whatever you want.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, I think you could use like a wider spread of guns in those other games. I think.
So, in this one, they kind of kept that same vision, like game design, like sensibility in store. So, even though I'm technically, I'm an engineer, so all I can do, as you can see, is just it should be pistols. Like, if I was playing this in like the original, like Mass Effect, like on the 360 or the PS3 or the PC, the only weapon I would be able to have is pistols.
Right.
So for this, it's like, hey, you technically, but you can be an engineer, but you can have all the weapons, but you don't get the perks with them.
Yeah, you might be able to spec more stuff out with a particular class and different guns. I mean,
I think like,
I will say something that's like now coming to mind as I'm like watching you play here. Like, as much as like I see what you're saying about the shooter gaminess of the other thing. Like, you know, I feel like in those other games from what I'm playing, there's a lot more like popping into cover and kind of like more. You could be more active here, where like you just kind of walked straight through like down a hallway and just kind of like, you know, no cover, just like mindlessly taking out those dudes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's more run and gun.
I don't know if I'd call that run and gun, if I'm being honest with you right there, because it's just like you just kind of like straightly like kind of slow walked straight down.
Yeah, it is like murder to death. Yeah,
you're just kind of like, all right, yeah, action packed gameplay. Where I feel like,
and like,
but I guess like again, that's also maybe just like a memory of remembering, you know, playing those games like years ago, and at that time those were like top tier action games. Where compared to like a lot of games coming out today, there's a lot more going on.
I think for that same point, this is such a very hairy scene we got here going on. I gotta do that on you, and then you're gonna do that. Oh wait, not that. Sabotage him. But no, like, the way how you pop into cover is you just walk up to things. That's how it's kind of always been, and it's kind of loose. And so, like, you don't have a dedicated button to press for cover. You just kind of just like, oh, you walk up. I hate these fucking stalkers. And even then, it's like, oh yeah, you can still like shoot and do stuff in cover, but God, this armor shirt's gonna be a bitch. Sabotage.
Yeah, I was gonna say use some of your tech abilities. Take him down.
Damn it. Taking it down. I'm gonna throw a grenade. Stop. And so, like, the one thing I do like about this game is, like, I'm using, I think, radioactive rounds. So, like, I always, every time I play Mass Effect 1, I always have that equipped because you fight a lot of Geth, and having things that do more damage to robots is kind of helpful.
It is ideal.
Shit cares.
Well, that's cool.
So yeah, that's kind of like something I always liked about the first one is there's more flexibility in how you want to approach combat. Garrus is down. I'll fix you, bud. Give me a sec.
He's just taking a nap.
He is exactly. Every time I see an animal on the side of the road, Mike, I'm like, you know what? They're just taking a nap.
No boy.
All clear.
All right, bro. You all right? You all right? All right. I'm gonna give my bros some. I'm gonna I'll get some basic armor because that is gonna be helpful.
Yeah.
And then upgrade my auto. But no, this game very much feels like the first, despite some like minor things. But no, I'm very happy with this game. Like, it's been very fun to revisit a game I hold so near and dear. That's kind of kept the same like vision. Just with,
it kind of seems like that was ultimately their intent, was to just be like, here's that game just with some nicer updated like visual stuff, a lot of lighting stuff and technical.
I think
faster loads and other stuff.
Faster loads is just very nice. Because damn. Yeah. Oops. Ow. Alright, this is gonna be fun. But no, and I also like, one of the reasons I like this game more is I think having the Geth, is a very more cool, interesting enemy than what comes later. Because it's like, oh, it's kind of more of like, it's this robot species. Like, what are they doing here? No. I think this is a good place to call it because we've kind of seen everything here, except for like dialogue, but that's stayed the same.
So
much of the core game has stayed the same.
Yeah, they have not really like changed any of the audio, dialogue, or stuff, anything really, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But look at my boy, Garrus and Rex.
That's right. You took your elevator through this
to something. Yeah.
That's cool. That's Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Mike.
Thanks,
It's
Quin.
been a blast.
All right, bye.